This week on Inside Off-Road, Hannes Grobler and Richard Leek romp to their 6th consecutive victory on the Toyota 1000 Desert Race. We go behind the scenes with Castrol Toyota star Marc Cronier. And join up with the Oven Fresh Biscuits 500 Charity Road Show in the Northwest Province. Inside Off-Road is proudly brought to you by ABSA. If you're looking for fast, flexible and convenient vehicle finance, ABSA has the solution. Vehicle finance from ABSA. It's never been easier. After 3 rounds of the SA Off-Road Championship for production and special vehicles presented by ABSA, consistency appears to be paying off for only a handful of competitors in both categories. Only 6 crews in the production vehicle category have managed to finish the first 3 races of the season, while no one has managed this feat in the special vehicle category. Hannes Grobler and Richard Leek are the production vehicle championship leaders in the proudly South African Nissan hardbody after winning the first 3 rounds of the championship overall. Despite their dominance overall and in Class T for unlimited super trucks, they only have an 11-point advantage over newcomer to off-road racing Marc Cronier and Chris Birkin in the Castrol Toyota Hilux 2.7i. In a remarkable performance, karting world champion Cronier and veteran co-driver Birkin have finished on the podium in the Nissan Dealer 400 and the Toyota 1000 Desert Race and won Class E for near-standard 4-cylinder vehicles twice and finished second once. The 2 crews have a 36 and 25-point cushion respectively over third-placed Hein Grobler and Gerard Prinsloo in the GBS Racing Nissan hardbody. The Clarkstor businessmen are former Class D champions and have a 1-point lead in Class D for 6-cylinder vehicles with limited modifications, and a 3-point lead in the overall championship over Johan and Martinez van Mmabatho from Harrismith. The Van Mmabatho father and son combination, with the 16-year-old Martinez, the youngest co-driver in the championship, won Class D on the Nissan Dealer 400 in the Shivani Colt Rodeo, and backed that up with 4th place finishers on the next 2 races and occupy 4th place in the overall championship. 5th place Scott Abraham and Richard Carolyn have moved up 2 places in the overall standings and are second in the Class T championship in the Atlas Copco Chicago pneumatic Jeep. Abraham, the youngest driver in the field, and 54-year-old Carolyn chalked up another strong finish on the Toyota 1000 Desert Race, despite having to stop 9 times in 2 days of racing to top up the engine with 70 liters of oil. Veteran Kasi Kutsia and Oki Fari only finished 2 of the 3 races in the Castrol Toyota Hilux KZTE, but have accumulated 52 points to place them 6th in the overall championship and 3rd in Class E. The pair cannot afford to put a wheel wrong on the forthcoming Oven Fresh Biscuits 500 because they have former Class E champions Manfred Schroeder and Jack Peckham, who have also only managed to complete 2 of the 3 races in the Team Ford Racing Ranger, only 2 points behind in the overall standings. The only other driver to have completed 3 races is Dion Skuman in the Class D Top Car Ferodo Nissan hardbody, and he is 8th in the overall championship and 3rd in Class D. Skuman's regular co-driver, Jan Syme, had to sit out the Toyota 1000 Desert Race after being diagnosed with heart problems after the prologue, but he is still joint 3rd in the Class D Co-Drivers Championship. Former production vehicle champions Neil Woolridge and Ken Scholthammer have not had the best of seasons. They had to compete in a Class E Ford Ranger in the season's opening event in the Western Cape, and then lost the power steering on the newly rebuilt Class T Team Ford Racing Ranger on the Nissan Sugarbelt 400. Overheating problems on the Toyota 1000 Desert Race forced them into retirement midway through day 1, and they now have only 33 points in the overall championship and are 3rd in Class T. Shumi van Veeren and Carlos de Abreu made an appearance on the Toyota 1000 Desert Race and stormed to 4th overall and 1st in the Class D in the Chibuku Toyota Land Cruiser, and the 32 points they earned for their effort sees them round out the top 10 placings. There are many pundits who believe that Grobler and Leek's record-breaking run of 6 consecutive overall victories cannot continue. and that there's a very real threat of a Class E crew emerging as the production vehicle champions, which, based on their performances to date, could very likely be Cronje and Birkin. The situation in the Special Vehicle Championship is wide open, with no one able to complete all 3 races. Only 5 crews have managed to complete 2 races, and 32 points separate the top 10 crews in the overall championship. Former Class B champion Gil Nel in the Look Africa Truggy won the class in the Western Cape and finished second in KwaZulu-Natal, but failed to finish in Botswana. This was only the 3rd time in 5 years that Nel failed to finish a race. But despite the setback, he has 62 points, and the overall and Class B championship lead to his credit. Class A championship leaders Gerald Mundell and Billy Bond in the Prolonged Bat occupy 2nd spot in the overall standings after a maiden overall win on the Nissan Sugarbelt 400 and a 3rd overall on the Toyota 1000 Desert Race, and are 2 points adrift of the leader. Reigning Class B champions Marcus Taylor and Mark de Chalane in the Rollerback Racing JRE had a good start to the season, but retired from the Toyota 1000 Desert Race and are 3rd overall on 58 points, with Taylor 2nd in Class B and de Chalane the leader in the Class B Co-Drivers Championship. John Moore and Fred Werner were the overnight special vehicle category leaders on the Toyota 1000 Desert Race, and eventually had to settle for 2nd overall after having to stop too many times to top up the engine oil on the Shell Connex Chenoweth. This performance, along with a strong finish on the Nissan Sugarbelt 400, places them 4th overall and 2nd in Class A. Former Class E champion Andrew Birkin switched from the production vehicle to the special vehicle category this season and surprised everyone when he finished 2nd and 3rd in Class B in the Western Cape and KwaZulu-Natal respectively. He led the Toyota 1000 Desert Race on day 1 until sidelined by a puncture, and finally retired on the final day with a broken gearbox on the wing foot. Birkin is 5th overall on 50 points and 3rd in Class B. Atang Machaganeni and Mike Stangl in the Sam Racing Jimco, and arch rivals John Weir Smith and Jeff Minnett in the O'Hagan's Kopanong Hotel Super Team Jimco each have 1 overall win and 2 non-finishers to their credit. Machaganeni and Stangl won the Nissan Dealer 400, while Weir Smith and Minnett won the Toyota 1000 Desert Race, and they are tied in 6th place in the Drivers' Championship and 4th place in the Co-Drivers' Championship with 35 points each. Francois Smith is 8th overall and 4th in the Class B Championship after winning the class in Botswana, while Greg Dawes and Archie Rutherford in the Nasho Mobile Racing Chenoweth and Nick Gosler and Glenn Stain in the O'Hagan's Kopanong Hotel Super Team Raceco are tied in 9th spot with 30 points each, with the latter the leaders in Class S. The Special Vehicle Championship is wide open, and a strong performance by any of the top Class A contenders on the Oven Fresh Biscuits 500 in the Mafeking area on July 25 to 26 will result in a major reshuffle of the top 10 positions. The safety of crews on off-road events is paramount. Kopanong Hotel, one of the backers of the 4-car O'Hagan's Kopanong Hotel Super Team, recently announced that it would fund a medical helicopter used on SA Off-Road Championship events.
We at Kopanong feel that we want to sponsor the drivers and the actual teams that are out there on the day. And the reason for that is they need to be assured, and their families at home that very often are waiting at home for them and are anxious about them, they need to know that if something goes wrong, we're in the motor racing industry, there's no getting away from it. It's a dangerous business. Something goes wrong and they're far out in the veld, Who's going to help them out? Who's going to get them the help that they need as fast as what they need? And so for us, it wasn't really a branding exercise for Kopanong. It wasn't an issue over how much advertising we would get. It was more giving back something to the race drivers. As you know, I'm now racing a car and enjoying myself with the rest of the guys. And I've got family at home, and I know how anxious they are about it. So what we wanted to do is take away some of that risk for them. And if something goes wrong, the helicopter's there, the medics are there, we can get to them quickly. And in the medical industry, any doctor will tell you that first hour is the most important. A lot of the race is in very rugged terrain, and the vehicles on the normal roads can't get to where the cars are racing. This will help from an overall exposure point of view for the teams, for all the sponsors, to get that exposure out there, see what's actually happening.
25-year-old Mark Cronje's star is certainly on the rise. He started racing karts 13 years ago, and his talent soon shone through, and he was snapped up by Toyota to drive for them in the Standard Production Car Championship and in the SA Off-Road Championship.
Karting has become a business for me. I started as a youngster just as a hobby, and slowly progressed on being my work. We're out at the track every weekend. We practice at least once a week if we can. And that's where my focus is at the moment, keeping me fit, keeping me sharp, and hopefully moving me into other forms of circuit racing again at some stage.
Cronje showed the rest of the world's top karters a clean pair of heels when he won the Rotax Max World Kart Championship at Swartkops last year.
Saloon cars has been a big part of my life, being a big trick to drive a saloon car quick has definitely been a focus for me. I'm hoping that Toyota do change their mind at some stage and we do get back into circuit racing, because it has always been one of my passions. And yeah, I very, very much enjoy it. To the level the level we were doing the Group N is something that I'd always want to come back to.
Toyota's decision to withdraw left Cronje out on a limb, but the company had a surprise in store for him.
Fitness is one of the biggest things I've found. Just keeping yourself fit, upper body fit, keeping your arms fit, and not necessarily big and bulk. It's you know, just high repetitions. Just keep myself focused in certain areas. I found spinning to be quite a big help for me, keeping my cardiovascular fitness up, and that's how I've basically kept my training.
Fitness would be essential for his new career in the tough world of off-road racing.
Well, I've set my goals very high, keeping myself focused, and hopefully, yeah, some competition can come Nissan's way, and we can look at the overall championship, not just the Class E championship. So yeah, like I say, I've set my goals very high, and I'm going to keep my head down and keep going.
The rural communities in the Mafeking area received an unexpected windfall when the Oven Fresh Biscuits 500 Charity Roadshow arrived earlier this week. Event sponsor Corn Bake Foods distributed 1.5 tons of Oven Fresh biscuits to worthy causes in the area.
We sponsor the race, basically the Oven Fresh 500 is going to be sponsored by us, Oven Fresh Biscuits, Corn Bake Foods. We sponsor the race for two reasons. The first one being my late dad, Abdul Variava, who liked racing, off-road racing. And the second is the Northwest being a key market for our product. We've donated 1.5 tons of biscuits to the old age home, the schools and the community. And it's just to show them that it's a token of our appreciation for them consuming our product, basically.
After a visit to the Kunatswana school, the next stop was the Baralong Tribal Center.
I'm very glad to welcome you to Mafeking as a racing sport and we are happy for you to have donated some foodstuff to our needy school kids. This is very important. We, as a racing club, you've been doing some business in Mafikeng, and we appreciate your generosity of bringing plowing back what you've got back to our people.
Then it was on to the Bethlehem Children's Shelter and the Rutaras Old Age Home.
What we do, we run a preventative program, preventing the children from going to the streets. We provide sort of basic education, literacy, life skills, sports and recreation, and whatever is necessary to keep them off the streets. We also prepare certain children, and smaller ones especially, to go to school in the coming year. So we run sort of a preschool preparatory type of program. Currently we have 15 children going to school, which we are supporting, and as you can see, it's around about 25 to 30 children we have coming to the center during the day. So that's basically our program. It's a daycare facility, it's not a sleeping facility we're running. Our feeling is that in rural areas like Mmabatho, it's not really necessary to run a sleeping facility. You rather facilitate the problem, that they'll actually walk away from home to come and stay over. So we try to prevent the problem. Part of the problem also is the whole children not being able to enter education because of a lack of school fees. We have sponsors from internationally, but also in South Africa, to help these children to go to school.
Last year's O'Hagan's Kopanong Hotel 500 attracted 74 entries, with the field split equally between the special and production vehicle categories. Genil de Villiers and Francois Jordan had already won one event overall in the Nissan Hardbody and would take full advantage of their teammates Hannes Grobler and Richard Leake's early retirement from the race. Brothers Gerhard and Lawrence du Plessis were the fastest special vehicle qualifiers and keen to chalk up their first overall win in the mobile Jimco. De Villiers and Jordan were the first on the road and had the advantage of not having to drive in anyone's dust, but not so Neil Woolridge and Ken Scholthammer in the Ford Ranger, who were 40 seconds behind the Duncan Force and Mike Griffith were third overall and first in Class D in the Nissan Hardbody, and ahead of them teammates De Villiers and Jordan held a commanding lead. The Ford Ranger was stuck in fourth gear, and Woolridge and Scholthammer had to be content with second place, while Force and Griffith put on a faultless performance to finish third overall and first in Class D in the slightly battered Nissan Hardbody. Reigning champions Genil de Villiers and Francois Jordan never put a wheel wrong in the Nissan Hardbody and stormed to their second win of the season.
No, we had a brilliant race. The beginning it was a bit tricky because we went wrong, I think, 3 or 4 times. And some of the guys moved the markers as well, so you had to go down the green route. But all in all, it was a good race. The second loop, we really went without any hassles, and we're just glad to win again.
Woolridge and Scholthammer limped home in second place to keep their championship hopes alive. This was their third runner-up finish of the year. The special vehicle battle had developed into a dogfight between the Du Plessis brothers and Atang Makhaganeni and Mike Stangl, who won the season-opening Barbaspan 500. Former special vehicle champions Greg Harvey and Boy Stone from Queenstown were third overall in the Queen Motor Spares Jimco, but the team to beat was Gerhard and Lawrence du Plessis, who managed to nip by Makhaganeni and Stangl in the closing stages of the race. Harvey and Stone went quietly about their business and were happy to add to their championship leading points tally. The Duplessis brothers crossed the line a mere 12 seconds ahead of Makhaneni and Stangl to record their first special vehicle win. A wrong slot close to the finish line cost the Barbaspan winners dearly.
Ons het 'n bietjie verdwaal vanoggend en 'n pap wiel gekry en toe die tweede helfte nou het ons bietjie toe Atangas voor ons toe hy net 'n wrong slot gemaak en toe kon ons verbygaan. Maar ek dink ons het engine moeilikheid.
It's very important at this stage that we show something back to these communities because we travel through their lands and we damage a lot of their roads that they use with vehicles that aren't equipped to do four-wheel drive. So giving something back to them shows that the club's intentions are actually very good. We also like the movement that we have amongst the villages that we've been to because those are the villages that we traverse through and they see what we do and then they understand when we ask them that they must also look after our roots and not take the stickers off. They do appreciate the communication that we also have with them.
The Oven Fresh Biscuits 500 gets underway on Friday the 25th of July with a 42-kilometer prologue to determine starting positions for the following day's main event, which starts at 8 and consists of 2 laps of a 224-kilometer route. Inside Off-Road was proudly brought to you